Open the toy box because on this Sega Talk, we're unboxing Toy Story for the Sega Genesis. How did this multi-platform licensed game wow players in 1995? How does it compare to the movie of the same name? Is there a snake in my boot? Watch out and find out on this toyetic Sega Talk.
SegaBits presents Sega Talk, a podcast talking all things Sega! With your hosts, George and Barry.
Look, it's a giant talking egg. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the master here. Say what?
Hello and welcome to episode number 165 of Sega Talk. I'm Barry, and with me is the Buzz to my Woody, George.
I wanted to say, there's a snake in my boots, but what's the one he says? What's his saying on his machine?
Who, Woody?
Buzz.
You're my favorite deputy. Oh, Buzz, he says, I don't know, Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. Come in, Star Command.
Yeah, I think the Woody ones are more iconic.
Yeah. Oh, To Infinity and Beyond.
Oh, I guess that is pretty iconic, so I guess
that's
that
more iconic. Too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I love that there's a snake in my boots, so...
Yeah, we're going to talk about snakes in a little bit, I think. Maybe we're not. But, yeah, so if you liked that, what you just heard, really we should plug the Patreon at the end so we can say if you liked all that. But we'll do it now. If you liked that and you like our stuff, you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/SegaBits. You can pick what we talk about. We're not going to do the pledge drive, but this is kind of the NPR pledge drive moment where we need more supporters, guys. I think the tariffs, I think me getting a little too, I don't know, maybe I did something. I'm sorry. In the comments, tell me what I can do to make you support this show. And maybe it's going to be a Toy Story episode, because this episode is going to be talking about Toy Story, the platform game released in 1995 by Disney Interactive for the Sega Genesis, SNES, Game Boy, and Microsoft Windows, my favorite console. Remember the Windows console, George?
Yeah, it's one of my favorites, too.
It's my favorite console. The game is an adaptation of the groundbreaking animated film from Pixar and Disney of the same name that follows Woody, a pull-string cowboy doll, who feels threatened and replaced when his owner Andy receives a flashy new space toy, Buzz Lightyear. As tensions rise between the two, they find themselves lost and must work together to return home, ultimately forming a deep friendship. Behind-the-scenes Toy Story made history as the first fully computer-animated feature film. It was directed by John Lasseter. Don't look him up. He's completely unproblematic. The film faced creative challenges during development, including major rewrites to make characters more likable and the story more emotionally resonant. And yeah, if you have that DVD or Blu-ray, check it out. The original, short test for it, Woody is a complete a-hole, and the size is all over the place. I think Buzz is like a quarter of the size of Woody. It's ridiculous. And Woody's like a ventriloquist dummy. It's kind of creepy. But that's not the movie we got. Instead, we got a movie that was successful and revolutionary, and it launched Pixar as a major force in filmmaking. And we're not going to get into the history of Pixar, but if you have Disney Plus, I would highly suggest checking out the Pixar Story documentary, as well as season 2 of ILM's documentary, Light and Magic, which actually talks about how George Lucas played a part in kind of creating Pixar and then selling it to, I do believe, Steve Jobs. It's just kind of wild. But in any case, George, as far as Toy Story itself, do you have any memories of the phenomenon?
I mean, it was a phenomenon, right? Like, it's one of the bigger movies. I think even newer kids know what Woody and Buzz are. It's pretty insane because I remember watching this movie and being mind blowing that it was like 3D. It's like and everyone I remember at that time too, every time a 3D console came out, it was like they're going to try to achieve Pixar like graphics. So it's kind of crazy that no one even mentions Pixar graphics when it comes to video games. Because I think
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the selling points was like this 3D is so good on Dreamcast that it's literally a Pixar movie. So
Right.
I think
Yeah.
yeah, they don't do that no more, right? Like now everyone's just like it's a really good looking game.
No, I mean, really, up till Shrek came out, Pixar was the benchmark for video games. Like, if you could make a video game that looked like something that you could see from Pixar, or even stuff like on TV, I know there was kind of some funky stuff like the Donkey Kong show, um, Reboot, which I think was a lot better, Beast Wars. I mean, that was all kind of TV CG animation in the late 90s, early 2000s, but I mean, think about it. Toy Story was 1995, first CG animated movie, and you look at what the first hand-drawn animated movie that was in the 1930s with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It's such a long gap between those two, and yet you finally have this like milestone in animation. And I remember as a kid, I was a big animation nerd. I had a lot of art books. I still have them. I was big into like animation innovations like the multiplane camera, which allowed them to make scenes look three-dimensional by layering them and filming
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
down. Yeah, it was just wild. And I think as a kid, too, I wanted to be an animator. I actually did take hand-drawn animation in college, and I didn't like it. It hurt my hand, and
Ah,
I didn't like how much work led to such small results. I also learned fairly quickly through watching behind the scenes of like Disney DVDs and Pixar that jobs weren't stable. You know, you once a show ends, you might lose your job, and I just didn't like that. But yeah, as far as Toy Story, I loved it at the time. I still do. It's a great film series. The shorts are great. I like the holiday specials, but Pixar in general, I became a huge fan as a kid. I actually loved A Bug's Life, and I know a lot of people aren't as big on that one, but I think the soundtrack alone is just like phenomenal, and I love the story and the characters. But yeah, like Toy Story was just like really big for me, I think, at the time. I
I
loved the
oh, I was gonna say I think it's crazy that The Bug's Life didn't do better because I think it's a way better film, an interesting film because it depicts bugs literally, like insects and
yeah.
stuff. And I don't know, I really liked that when as a kid, but. Toys were cool too, but I thought it was like I don't know. I was a kid that was always in my yard looking at ants and stuff. So
Right.
yeah,
And I think with Pixar, well, I know this that they decided to focus on things that were easier to animate. Like if you look at Buzz and Woody in the first film, it's not uncanny valley because they're kind of cartoony because
hmm
they're toys, and you can kind of forgive the limitations of the animation because you're like, well, they're toys. They're not supposed to have like pores and hair and like pimples and stuff. I pointed. I don't have a pimple, I don't think, but
mm.
yeah, and then they did A Bug's Life because they were like, well, again, we're picking something that is easier to animate than full animated humans, and it wasn't really until I think The Incredibles that they went all out. But yeah, you watch that first Toy Story and like Andy's birthday party, all the boys are just like Andy repeated, which is kind of
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's a timeless movie. It's short too. It like really doesn't waste any time or drag. It's like an 80-minute movie. Um,
It had good
and
music
I think
numbers too.
what's that? The music?
Yeah, the music in it was iconic at the time.
Oh yeah. I mean, Randy Newman. It was such a strange choice. I didn't know about him at the time, but looking back, it's like he was big in the I guess 70s and 80s. You know, like it was just
Yeah,
kind of oh cool. Randy Newman is doing our music, but then he like makes all these bangers, and you're like a 10-year-old kid like singing like
singing
I will go sailing no more, you know.
exactly.
And then you find out he's like a white dude. I thought he was black for
Me
like
too.
10 years.
Yeah, me too. When I was a kid, I thought, yeah, same thing.
Yeah, he's like the donkey of our generation.
Yep.
But in any case, yeah, I mean, I had the Toy Story bug bit me. And so I want to, before I get into it, I want to ask, did it bite you? Did you get any of the merch or play the video game like at the time of release?
I did. Well, I played the video game a lot because I feel like this game was one of those like very common Genesis and Super Nintendo games. Like you could find them almost anywhere. That was a good thing about this game. So I definitely played this, and I played a lot of the Disney games at the time for the same reason. I think they like discounted them really fast for parents, obviously, and just sold a lot of games. So definitely played this. Obviously, I loved it. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, and I mean, people need to remember too that at the time Disney was kind of the quality. It had the stamp of quality because Disney Afternoon at the time had movie quality animation because they had these film animators also working on these TV shows, and like stuff like DuckTales and Rescue Rangers looked way better than any of the other TV animation at the time. Same with video games. They had The Lion King, and they would actually show you that real animators were hand drawing this pixel art. And not to like, you know, say that stuff in like Sonic the Hedgehog or something is not as good, but really you think about it, like people in Sonic Team animating the sprites for Sonic and Tails were probably looking at inspiration in like anime and Western animation. And here we have actual Western animators doing the pixel art. So it's kind of like in reverse. It's like the people that video game developers are striving to be like are actually in there doing, you know, like making, like you look at Simba and how he moves in the Lion King game, and it's just like amazing as compared to like, you know, no offense, but like Tails, you know, like.
Or I'd even say like Super Mario World. Like I love Mario, but like even them, like their animation is pretty basic for their games. So
and they would make them breathe. They would actually like have the characters taking breaths. Like they would constantly be moving. But yeah, so I mean, Disney was at the time, and in some cases still is, like the stamp of quality. But yeah, I was really into the toys at the time too, because
really?
I think what I really dug about this game was that, or this movie, is that it featured toys, but then they would make toys, and I'm like, it's like a reproduction, or having like a I don't know, like a it's kind of like when you buy a lightsaber that looks like it's from the movie, but in this case, it's like you have a toy cowboy doll that looks exactly like it came out of the film, and it's the same scale. And I just thought that was so cool. And I remember, and I actually have a bunch of toys here. I'll open this one first. I had a storage bin at our house here, and I opened it, and I had all these Toy Story toys, more than I ever thought I owned. And so I just wanted to show a few of these off. So these are like bendy figures. So here's a Buzz Lightyear. I mean, really nice quality. Here's a bendy Woody. But then you get into some here, and I gotta say, like, all right, let me read the back of this, see if I'm looking at. All right, so we're gonna play a game here. I'm gonna show you something. So look at this. This is Woody spinning his lasso. Looks cool, right? He's spinning a lasso. And then here's a Woody toy where he like kicks his leg.
What?
Now,
the
I want
iconic
you to figure
kick in
out
the movie?
Yeah, his iconic kick. So there's him kicking. Here's him spinning. I want you to guess which of one of these is the Burger King toy and which one of these is like the carded action figure you get at Target.
I think the one with the kick is the one that is the Burger King, and the rope is the Target.
No, it's the other way around. Look at how quality this is for a fast food toy.
Okay,
Isn't
I
that
thought
crazy?
just because it had more things going on.
Yeah.
No, the color's more accurate on the Target one. Like, it's more deeper yellows.
Yeah, that's true. He has the red lines on his shirt. But yeah, it's like they did this line of Burger King toys, and I'll show more of them later on the show, but like they're actually really nice for the time. They had Rex, and it was a big set too. They had Rex, they had, I think they even had like obscure characters, like the robot that like went by in the background, and there was like a spinning top of Bo Peep. There was even the dog, which was weird. It was like
the weird looking dog,
like the realistic dog, yeah. And they gave you like, they had the toy soldiers, they had the piggy bank ham.
That's smart.
They had I got so many, and then on top of that they had like premium ones where it was like Woody, but he was soft. So they had a Woody doll. Like they went all out. I'm not even showing all of them here, but there's so many. Like the
wow.
Little green men. Yeah. So I remember as a kid seeing Toy Story, seeing the Burger King ads, and feeling sick to my stomach because I thought that they were selling out. Like I thought like they were already like, you know, like I was
gone?
getting FOMO, and I was yeah. And I was like, we got to get there now. They're all gone. They sold them all.
I've seen this movie like a billion times because my younger brother, even though he was born when the movie came out, it was his favorite movie as a little kid. Like he would play the VHS tape like on repeat over. You know, when you're a kid and you watch that one movie like all summer, it was that, but like for 3 years it felt like. It's crazy.
Oh my god.
So I know this movie from like beginning to end. I've seen it so many times. So yeah. Like it. Great movie.
But yeah, I mean, you see that then, and I haven't even shown all the Burger King toys. Like, you knew that there was like a 10 toy set at Burger King that looked like they came straight out of the movie, and they're like $2 toys that look like they came from Target, and you're like, I gotta have all of these right now, and they're all selling out, and I'm gonna die. We gotta go. Thankfully, I did get them all. Now they're just sitting in a box. But hey, it's content for this episode. But let's get some footage playing of the game, and we'll talk a little bit about the game itself. So, visually, the game most closely resembles Donkey Kong Country, found on the SNES, and while the game did release on the SNES, for the sake of this episode, we are going to be focusing only on the Genesis version, which, as I'll mention again in a little bit, was the main version of this game. It did look impressive, and in my opinion, it settled the schoolyard debate over if the Genesis was capable of Donkey Kong Country style graphics. Do you remember this debate at the time, or just like thinking like, oh, I guess they can make these types of graphics? We didn't know what they were at the time.
No, I didn't know.
Thought, no.
But I mean, I always thought that like Mortal Kombat already kind of like was similar type of graphics. So I never personally thought anything like that. I do know people kept on saying like Donkey Kong is one of the best. You know, it was a good game plus with the graphics. I do remember that, and I did like Donkey Kong, so I can't hate on it. But this game kind of blew my mind more because I feel like maybe because I was a kid at the time when I played it, like, you know, my brain wasn't fully developed, but like I kind of like it looks a little worse now than when I remember it, just because to me I always saw it as the movie actually moving because it was so close to me that like my childhood imagination kind of filled the other stuff in, you know, and in a way.
Right.
But it still looks really impressive because you see this right now on screen. I mean, for a Genesis to be inputting stuff that it's like mimicking a Pixar animation is crazy. But yeah.
Right. And like they even had like little tricks where they made the furniture look 3D. Like you would see the back of the furniture kind of move in the background. Mm-hmm. And just like all these little visual, I guess, tricks at the time and things that just made everything look like 3D graphics. Now, looking at it now, obviously, this is like, it looks so dated, but you got to remember at the time, like, we didn't see anything like this before. To us, these were like the characters jumped right off the movie screen and they were there. And for all we knew, they were the I guess, like, CG models. We didn't really call them that at the time, just they like were used in the movie and now they're being used in the game. And they were, which is really impressive. The game sees players guiding Woody through multiple levels that follow the film's storyline, navigating obstacles and battling various enemies. Woody's main tool is his pull-string whip, which temporarily restrains foes, allowing him to safely move past them. So it was like a stun, basically. The whip doesn't defeat enemies except for the unique case of the Nightmare Buzz Boss. It can also be used to swing from hooks and cross dangerous areas. So how did you feel about Woody's controls? Do you feel like he was underpowered? Do you think it was suitable for the game, given it's not like a shoot 'em up?
I'm kind of mixed because one thing I did notice, it was like, oh, I'm not just exploring stuff and being the toy and all this. It's like they just added like platforming, like obviously like nonsense. But outside of that, like I've seen Mike Mattel randomly on live stream when he plays retro games, and I'm like, so many of these licensed games do this, like the same gimmick, but like this game I think did it way better.
Yeah.
Like it's not overly hard. I mean, there is some parts where it was really annoying, and I didn't really like the isometric stuff, but I thought it was impressive at the time. But no, I think they did a good job of trying to do a variety of it, and I like the whip idea with his little cord. I don't know what else you could have done to make it Woody, you know?
Right. Though the weird thing is like he's using up some of his pull string, which is kind of weird.
Like,
you know what I mean? Like
pulling...
like he hits them with his pull string and they get tied up, and then he runs away, but it's still there. So it's almost like he's using it like a web.
Yes,
you know?
Yes, he is.
It is a little odd, but it makes sense that he's not like hurting or killing these toys because they're like in Andy's room. They're technically his friends. They're just either stopping him from like being, I don't know, doing something to Buzz, I guess. But yeah, I think it's fine. I don't think they should have given him like a pop gun or anything. It would have been kind of out of character. But, you know, the game is primarily a platformer, but it does shift genres for a few stages. There's 2 levels where players control RC, which is the car, and he drives, I guess, like from above, top-down view.
Top-down, yeah.
Yeah, one is after Woody knocks Buzz out the window, and the other is as they race to catch the moving truck. So it's fitting, because these are 2 scenes that actually did feature the car in the movie. There's simple driving mechanics with acceleration, braking, and steering, while managing a constantly draining battery that can be recharged by collecting batteries, either from Buzz or on the ground. It's kind of an annoying mechanic, but I guess they had to add a little extra challenge. Another stage switches to a first-person view, with Woody navigating a maze to find lost alien squeaky toys and return them to their group within a time limit. It's like Doom, like Toy Story Doom, which is kind of funny.
Oh, yeah.
Did you appreciate when the game switched up the gameplay style? And do you like when games do this in general? Or are there any that maybe come to mind that add a little extra spice?
The only thing that annoyed me is that like I couldn't get the controls down as fast as a kid, and so I would die and then have to restart the thing, which is annoying. Because it's only 2 levels where you play as the RC card. It's like you either pick it up quick or you're gonna lose lives or whatever.
Right.
Besides that, though, no, I appreciate it. I think you have to keep the game fresh, and like I said, we played so many bad licensed games, like those Simpsons ones, where they just like are the same thing over and over, and this one, at least, it really did feel like there was more love put into it. Like they didn't have to do a level where you're in the alien UFO catcher hitting characters up in the air with these cool physics and animation, which I think the animation in this game is what's actually the coolest. Like in the when the credits roll or whatever, when you get the when you win the level and then Woody's dancing. Cool. Yeah. I like that. Very cool.
That is cool. And we don't touch on the music in the notes that I made, but yeah, the music, some of it comes from the film, but a lot of it's original, and it's quite memorable, and it's well composed with the Genesis sound chip. Like there's one moment I really loved when it, you know, like you're going through the stage and the music's like da 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 da, you know, that kind of music. And then all of a sudden you free the army men, and I actually have my bucket of army men here. These are actually like Toy Story branded army men. you hit the bucket and the army men start coming out, and then they go, "Code red, move, move, move," and then the music starts doing like the army, like it's the same music, but it adds a like an army drum line, and it's such a fun little touch where the music becomes like army marching music, and you see them doing their little like goofy army march. So I appreciated that. I thought that was a fun little like moment within the game. But yeah, as for me, like a few games that come to mind, there are a lot of are on Sega CD. So like Batman Returns had driving segments, and Cliffhanger, which is not a great game, but it had really fun snowboarding segments. And I think people love these segments so much that they actually would just make them accessible, I think, from the menu. Like you could just be like, I just want to play the cool segment. And they're like, we get it. We get it. But yeah, as far as anything else there, nothing comes to mind. So I think we're going to take a very quick toy break. I have this here, and it's kind of a funny story with it. So this is it's a Buzz Lightyear, like life-size Buzz Lightyear toy. But you'll notice he's like shiny chrome.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. And he does everything. Like it's ultimate. Like he has the little thing open. The batteries are, I haven't replaced them, but if you were to push this, he'd do the like Buzz Lightyear Star Command. And he's got the wings that come out. They don't work that well anymore, but they're supposed to like spring out. And the buttons and everything. He has the laser, but he's chrome. And what happened was, as a kid, I really wanted this, but I wanted the one where he looked like from the movie. And my aunt ran a discount store. She would get like I don't know what you call it now, but it was kind of like a I don't know, like overstock, you know. And so she'd get it, and then she'd sell it at a discount. And she got a ton of these, and so she's like, "Oh, Barry likes Toy Story. I'll get him that." And she got me this, and I was just kind of like, "Oh, it's cool, but like, why is he shiny silver?" And because I had this, my parents weren't going to buy me the one that I wanted, so I was just kind of stuck with this one. You know what I mean? It's kind of like I want Buzz Lightyear. You have Buzz Lightyear at home. Buzz Lightyear at home. You know?
It's Hollywood Lightyear. It's like,
yeah,
it was like
and so
Hulk Hogan turned bad.
It's weird, but yeah, so as you can tell, I haven't really taken good care of it. It's kind of scuffed up and stuff. It shows that I didn't really care about it.
It has the
and
Mega
now
Drive
I see
pink and black. The pink and black look like the Mega Drive. On the
I
back.
guess so.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. It kind of does. But yeah, but now I'm like seeing like people actually, or companies actually making like fully, like, have you seen this Buzz Lightyear where he actually like moves on his own? It's from the same company that made the real Transformers that would transform on their own.
How much do they charge for that?
Oh my God, they must cost hundreds of dollars. I'm sure you could buy a couple Nintendo Switch 2s before you get the fully robotic Buzz Lightyear. But it is interesting to see something like that and be like, oh man, you know, I guess if I waited, it would have like been like an ultimate thing. But to be quite honest, I don't buy Toy Story toys anymore. I haven't bought any since 1995. And this is coming from someone who has a room full of Sonic toys. But you know, you gotta kind of pick your lane.
Have they made any like interesting toys like for 4 and stuff that you were like, I kind of wanted it, but I didn't get it?
Yeah. So, like in the past or like recently,
or like maybe not even recently, but like when 4 came out, like they had that new teddy bear, right? And 3 and 4 were one of those. Like they've had new characters introduced. Has any of the characters kind of tempted you?
Yeah. So I did see the Lotso doll that really smelled like strawberries. And I kind of liked it because he's like a fluffy teddy bear, but he's the villain. So it's kind of cool, you know? They also started doing this line, and I forgot what they did, but it was like a stamp they put on them that basically said, like, this is movie accurate in terms of, like, scale and design. And they would do this for a lot of the toys. And so I've seen people who actually collect just those, and it looks like you own the real toys from Toy Story, because they only do what the toy did in the movie. So it has the pull string, it only says the lines, the face looks exactly right, the hat can be removed. It's kind of like this one, actually, if it was like, because this is Buzz Lightyear. He does everything. He has the laser, these buttons work, like it does everything from the movie. But the new ones are like even more, like you can open this and squeeze his head and it might squeak, I think, like it's that intense. But yeah, so I got my, actually I do have this one though. I've always liked this. It's the Slinky Dog.
Nice. How does Mr. Potato Head work?
Well, they actually made a Mr. Potato Head that looked like the movie Mr. Potato Head, which is really wild, because obviously you look at the real Mr. Potato Head toys, they don't look like the movie ones. So it's kind of interesting that they do stuff like that. And then, like, as I mentioned, I did get the Army Men, the bucket of Army Men, which is a little tattered, but like they're just straight up made, I think they're made in, yeah, they're just straight up made in China Army Men. They're not even Disney branded. They just took the like Army Men that I'm sure are kind of like, like, I don't want to say they're royalty free or anything, but it's like I think anyone can release these. You know what I mean?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I guess it makes sense. It would be like a generic car.
They're just like generic Army Men, but they're ones in the movie were generic Army Men. And the one thing that aren't in here are the I don't know where they went, but I had a few of the Army Men with the parachutes, like in the movie too. Anyway, that's the toy break. Getting back into talking about the game. So the game closely follows the plot of Toy Story with a few minor differences. So let's take a look at the game stages, and we'll see how closely they follow the film. And we're going to be using the website SEGA Retro, which actually has a very nice breakdown. Yes. So as you can see here, like we said, the Genesis game has 18 stages, but you're going to notice they're very similar. So
yep.
The first stage, that old Army game, sees Woody releasing the Army Men to find out what is going on with Andy. The next stage is still in Andy's room, but it's called Red Alert, so you now have to put all the toys back in the toy box using this like balloon thing where they fly in the air and go into it. Ego Check sees Buzz out of his box and racing Woody, just as he would in the movie. And then you have your first boss fight. This one's called Nightmare Buzz, where Buzz is like larger and glow in the dark, and he's shooting Woody. Yeah, he's scary. And this is actually a deleted scene. This was in the script, but it never made the final movie. And I don't even know if it was fully animated. But I think in Toy Story 2, they brought in the dream sequence where, remember, Andy like dropped him on the floor and was I don't want to play with you anymore. And then all the like dead toy hands grab Woody. So it is a concept they return to later. But yeah, this is one of the deleted scenes that did make it into the game. Then you're going to have a Buzz clip. And this is where RC the car was driving around. And these segments are called Daytona, which is funny. I don't know if it was a Daytona USA reference or just like Daytona because it's a race car. And this is knocking Buzz out the window. The next one is Revenge of the Toys, and it's in Andy's room, but it's nighttime, so it's a little darker. But you can see, like, it's not, like, stages aren't that different so far. You're still in Andy's room. But this time you're fighting the toys. They're trying to get you, so you're I believe using Rex to get to the other side of the stage so that he can help you. And then you, in the next stage, Run Rex Run, you actually ride on Rex's back. And I don't know if this was something dropped from the movie or it was just to give a little extra something for the game. But I don't recall Rex ever
being ridden,
helping. Yeah. After that, you have a kind of a Sonic and Knuckles versus battle with Buzz and Woody at the gas station. Cool aesthetics. I like the stage. It kind of looks like a weird fighting game, like an SNK game with Buzz and Woody.
I kind of wish that the gas station was a level. I always thought it was cool that they were in that gas station. I thought it would. I mean, having some hopping, because I mean they have like 7 stages in Andy's room right here. Would added some variety of the look.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a cool one. But the one I think is really cool is once you get into Pizza Planet.
Mm-hmm.
You have actually like giant kids walking around, which is a really cool touch. And it's kind of Metal Gear Solid-y, where you're hiding inside the drink cup, and then you push down when people are coming by so that they don't catch you. But you also need to, it's kind of also like you have to get Buzz through as well, hiding inside the fry box. So, so far, I think even though all the stages aren't like super different from each other, they do have different objectives. So even if visually it's kind of the same, some might be a rescue mission, some might be like put everything in this place, one might be stealth. So it definitely did mix things up. The next one is Inside the Claw Machines. You're actually like inside the mechanics. And I thought this was really clever because when you think about it, this is a video game adaptation of a movie, and it's taking place inside an arcade. So it's like a video game within a video game, but you're inside a claw machine, which is an electromechanical machine. And you think about SEGA with their UFO catchers, and it's just kind of interesting that like I'm playing a game inside of a game, but it's like the old pre-video game,
Right.
It's kind of weird.
Some of these, the level design here reminds me of kind of Sonic when they try to do like gear levels or whatever, like the little tubes and stuff they put in here. It's almost I don't know. They probably played, a couple, Sonic the Hedgehog video games or something.
It is cool. Yeah, it is kind of like Woody in Metropolis Zone or something. The next one I think is one of the standout ones just in terms of how unique it is. So we were inside the claw machine, but now we're really inside the claw machine. And this one is a 3D stage. It's like Toy Story Doom, where you're rescuing the little green men. And according to Sega Retro here, it's utilizing ray casting tricks to create a 3D environment for the player to walk through. So, I mean, visually it's very cool. Also, this level is not in the PC version, which is kind of surprising. You'd think the PC could handle this. I don't know why they cut it, but it's interesting. The claw is the next one. You're saving Buzz from the claw, and then you get taken away with him. And then you go into kind of the final stages of the game. So Sid's workbench, a very creepy area where it's all the toys being dissected and destroyed, and very spooky kind of creepy vibe. And then the mutant toy level, also a very cool, spooky kind of vibe. Again, it reuses some assets from Sid's workbench, but it still is quite unique. My personal favorite, Roller Bob. I think he's such a funny character. He's like a G.I. Joe, like glued to a skateboard, and you're being chased by that really ugly dog. So a fun kind of escape stage. And then we get into I mentioned that they, had the few overhead driving stages, but this one's also very unique. Daytona.
Yeah.
It's a 3D driving game, kind of like Hang On or Outrun.
Right.
Where you are driving back to Andy's house to pick up Buzz. And it actually is very visually cool looking. It's not in the SNES version, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And despite calling it Daytona, I feel like it's Outrun. It's just like straight Outrun Toy Story. And then the last two, we have an overhead stage called Light My Fire, where you've got the rocket attached to your back and you're trying to escape. And then finally, Rocket Man is a flying game where you're making your way back to the moving truck, or I guess beyond the moving truck, because they land.
Oh, this one was hard.
Inside Andy's car. Yeah. And so we just ran through 18 stages, but it very, very closely follows the game outside, or the movie outside of a few liberties. I mean, there's
Right.
that deleted scene. There's Rex helping you out, which he didn't really do in the movie. But still, it's I think if you never saw the movie and you just played this game, you would get a very good idea of what the story is outside of the jokes and characterization not carrying over. Um, and yeah, I mean, overall, I got to applaud them for just doing such a great job. It's really impressive. So
I
that's
think
that. And
I think
yeah, go ahead.
the most impressive part about the whole thing is that they just randomly, like you said, like we played games where they just do, oh, it's a platformer game. Like, this is Aladdin, you're going to platform, right? Or whatever. Okay. This one, they just randomly added like a 3D level in the, like almost towards the end where it looks like Doom, and it's almost like like a big deal because I feel like Doom didn't even run this good on the Super Nintendo. Like those, when they had those older versions of Doom where they try to port it onto a
Yeah.
16-bit. It never really worked out, so I'm surprised it was as smooth as it was. And not only that, they added that 3D outrun level in the end, which most kids wouldn't even play that far, to be honest with you, because I feel like 7 levels of Andy's room. Most people probably think this whole game takes place in Andy's room, to be honest with you.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think it maybe would have been helpful to have a little. I don't remember if there's like an overhead map. I don't think there is, but just to show that there is cool stuff to come. I don't remember either if there is an easy to use level select, but I feel like in a lot of these Disney games, it was very easy to use codes to skip ahead and see later moments in the game, which was nice. But yeah, I mean, overall, you look at this and it is visually impressive, technically impressive. It's not the greatest game, I will say, but there's a lot of ambition behind it, and it's very clearly not your typical licensed game where they're just trying to make a cheap buck. And we all own those games, and we've all been screwed over by those types of games. But
any of the Simpsons ones, like I'm like, oh, this one looks sick. Look, it has Bart on it, and you're like, oh.
Any and all of them. There wasn't a good Simpsons game until the Simpsons game,
right?
And even that game's not great. Or I would say Hit and Run is probably the best one, and that took like a couple decades to get. So yeah, that does it for the levels. But let's talk a little bit about development. So the Game Boy version was developed by Tiertex Design Studios, and the Windows version was handled by Disney Interactive's in-house team, the same group behind Maui Mallard, if you remember that game.
I do remember that one. It's the Ninja Duck, right? The blind
one? It
one?
is a Ninja Duck, but he's not Donald. It's very weird. It's like,
I don't know why they did that.
It's like there's a whole story behind it, because I know there's Darkwing Duck, who isn't Donald. There's Maui Mallard, who isn't Donald, and I feel like they were probably attempting to do like a Donald becomes a superhero or like ninja kind of thing, and Disney was like, no, make it a new character.
Maui Mallard.
But Traveler's Tales, Maui Mallard. Maybe we'll do that in the next episode. Traveler's Tales developed the other versions, with the Genesis version, as I mentioned, serving as the lead. So the game used 3D rendered graphics, and Pixar supplied Traveler's Tales with animation data for Woody and Scud. However, there were early challenges with rendering and lighting, which complicated the conversion process for gameplay. Pixar delivered the final animations just 2 weeks before the game's submission deadline to SEGA, and a missed approval would have delayed the game's release, and missing the film's debut, which was the plan to have this release alongside the film. To avoid this, Traveler's Tales also created backup animations of Woody's. So, talk about down to the wire, but I do, and I couldn't find it. I bet I could, if I dug around, I could. But I wonder if those backup animations exist and what they look like. You got to imagine, right?
I mean, I wouldn't think it would look better than the ones they used, obviously, but I would say clunky. I bet you that dancing scene where he wins in the end of the level would have not been as smooth animated the way it was.
Right.
2 weeks, though, that's kind of crazy. Like, I guess companies are like that, but imagine being Traveler's Tale. How nervous you had to be that you probably won't have animation for your new game.
Right. Yeah, it is pretty wild. I'm gonna have to, like, after this show, check out maybe like a proto version of the game. There is a prototype on hiddenpalace.org, but they don't talk about it at all.
I feel like
There's
if
a
it was,
video.
I think if it was done or whatever, it would have been
No.
it would have been like put in the Sega retro article.
Yeah, no, the prototype I'm finding still has the what we see. So it makes me wonder, when did this come out? It must have been very late in the game if you're having a prototype, but it's still the final animation of Woody. But yeah, John Burton, who is the founder of Traveler's Tales, he took on both design and programming roles for the game. To meet Sega's strict approval standards, he hid glitches by redirecting testers to bonus mini-games, claiming that they were intentional features. Due to the Genesis's limited color palette, replicating the film's bright visuals was challenging. So to compensate, the team used a special mode to unlock extra shades of red, green, and blue. The Windows version also includes instrumental renditions of 2 Randy Newman songs from the movie. So you did get that at least.
That's pretty cool.
Toy Story received positive reviews on the Genesis and SNES, while the PC version saw mixed reactions. I wonder why. Critics praised the game's impressive visuals, varied gameplay, and the enhanced PC soundtrack, but noted issues with clunky controls and inconsistent difficulty, particularly levels that were too challenging for younger players. And yeah, I can attest to that. This was a difficult game. At least, I think looking back, it was difficult because the rules changed every stage. So you're like, oh, I hit things and run to the right. And you're like, oh, wait, I don't. And I think kids just didn't have the
fortitude.
Patience. I know I didn't.
Or that, not only that, restarting it, like some of these games you would have to play them from the beginning to the end. So it's a lot of like, oh my God, it's 18 levels. It's a journey for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But it's a journey you have to take in order to become best friends with Buzz. The Genesis version's 3D rendered graphics stood out as they were new to the platform, and overall impressions were mixed. GamePro felt the gameplay lacked lasting appeal despite the strong visuals, and Game Informer called it a fun, family-friendly adventure. Superplay praised the Genesis version but found the SNES version lacking compared to Donkey Kong Country 2. What do you think about that? They were like, it's not as good as Donkey Kong Country, a completely different game but because graphics are similar.
Right. That makes no sense. Can you imagine like me reviewing a game and I'm like, Yakuza's pretty good, but I really liked Sonic Generations X Shadow better. It's like, what is that?
Well, it is from the same studio, and they both use 3D graphics. So yeah, it is basically the same game.
Basically.
Yeah. So that's that, at least for the game. We have a little more to say, but first let's take one more toy break, and this is a fun one. So if you remember, I talked about Burger King. They went all out. I don't even have all the toys here. I can't find one of them, but they did these hand puppets too. Look at that. So this is a hand puppet of Rex. They also had Ham, but I don't know where he is. And I bet if I looked it up on eBay, it's like $5, so it's no big deal. But not only that, they had this Woody. Look at him. He looks like he's straight out of the movie.
There's a snake in my boots.
You can make him walk. There's like little his back pockets you put your fingers in. And what I remember doing as a kid is I would make him just like kick violently like he was Chucky. You know, it's like, get the fuck off me! What the fuck are you doing? So that's fun. Then they also made a Buzz doll who's mostly like hard plastic. But he apparently talks. I don't know if I probably need to replace the batteries. I'm sure they've melted by now. And then curiously, and I don't know where the other one is, they made 2 Woodies. So they made this Woody And then they made this one who's just slightly smaller. And you might be wondering, why'd they make two Woodies? And I think they even made two Buzzes. Maybe that's why one of them's not talking and another one's supposed to. But the reason is, when I said they went all out, they made like the 10 toys. They made the puppets. And then they also made this. Look at this. It's a reproduction of the RC car. And then you've got Buzz. And you get Buzz, you get the RC car. Buzz sits on the back. There's a peg for there's like a butthole, basically.
Oh, nice.
And you have him sit on the back, just like in the movie. So he sits back there. I don't know if I can do this on the camera now. Oh, there he goes. All right. So now I just pegged Buzz. And then you take Woody, who has... We all have. If you want to watch something really raunchy, watch Mad TV's Sex Toy Story. It came out like the same year. It's a hilarious spoof. Hilarious parody. But you put Velcro on... There's Velcro on Woody. He sticks to Buzz's arms, and then you put his legs behind here, and you can recreate the scene with them riding RC car. Isn't that cool? And this was Burger King.
They don't make them
Burger
like
King.
they used to.
It's a toy. Like, it's not just a toy. Like a Burger King toy. This is better than what they had at Target. Isn't that crazy? But yeah, but I will say, and I do have a few more of the Target toys or whatever they call them, but one I really loved, and I was so happy I got this, and I have the pieces in this bag here, but you can see it. It's the Baby Doll Mutant toy.
Oh, that one's cool.
And his eye closes when you lay him down, and he's on like a little wind-back rolly like cart, and he comes with all of his appendages, and you can kind of like place them in different places, and you can make like this spider baby, and when you roll him, the little appendages move. I just think it's really cool. And I like the idea of making toys based on toys that were like mutilated. So you're like buying this, and I guess they kind of revived that with the Forky. Remember that? Because they actually had a Forky kit where you could make your own Forky, and people are like, "Why are you selling a kit? I can go grab a spork and do this myself."
Official. It's not official.
It's not official. No, it isn't. But yeah, let's jump back into the show notes. I think we have one more section here. So to close things out, we're going to check out some marketing for the game. And first up, we have a commercial. And what a commercial this is. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, I'm gonna click play now.
All right, cool.
It's really clear.
So we have a kid walking to a toy store. And there's giant Toy Story toys in the window that move, which is creepy.
Whoa, and like a generic pad.
Right, they shoot a toy controller into his hand, then he plays the Toy Story video game.
That's cool. The cover is different.
And then
I didn't know that. Sorry.
He becomes the mutant toy at the very end, which is creepy as hell.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they cut his head off.
That's creepy. I didn't notice when I was a kid that the box art was different for each one, actually. It's the first time I've ever seen that.
Oh, really? Let me look at that.
It's like slightly different renders.
Oh, yeah. So Woody is on top of Buzz and pointing. And then in the SNES one, Woody's to the side of Buzz and pointing. But what's really interesting is it looks like they did render it differently because Buzz is they didn't flip the model, they actually posed the model differently.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually changed the reflection in his glass to actually work with. So yeah, they actually made two completely different renders, which is like going above and beyond. They didn't need to do that.
No, they didn't. It's crazy.
But yeah, so what did you think about that weird gamepad? Because I looked at it, it's a fusion of the SNES and the Genesis gamepad so that they don't like promote one over the other.
Let me see. I'm looking apps. Oh, I'm
Seeing
trying to
where
get
it
a good
appears.
shot
Yeah,
at it.
it's at 14 seconds.
Let's see. The pad? Oh, yeah, they do show
Yeah,
it.
the
Okay.
pad.
Oh, I
So
see.
it's like the Genesis buttons,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's kind of SNES colors and rounded.
It's the
And then the
worst
D-pad
controller.
has like Christmas lights around it.
Oh, yeah, it does.
And the ABC are at such a weird angle that there's no way that your thumb could actually hit those buttons.
Unless it's like a thumb game where like you use the thumb and then you roll it down to hit the bottom one, but it wouldn't work that way that good. It's like
And then they use right, but then they use the balloon pump from the game to actually blast it into the kid's hands.
that's
You
pretty
see
cool.
that too.
That's pretty
So,
cool.
yeah, and now let's take a look at 2 print ads. So the first one, there's actually a second page, but the first page is completely blank.
Right.
And so I didn't even
Okay.
I didn't even share that. Yeah, and then the second page just said, and they, it's in handwriting at the bottom, and they, asterisk, said it couldn't be done. And then the asterisk says, they being all those boneheaded, pencil-necked, I guess you're not as smart as you look, techno geeks who said there's no way to get next-gen graphics, humongous characters, and mind-blowing variety of gameplay all on a 16-bit system. Well, maybe they should try this on for size. Toy Story for Sega Genesis and Super NES. So I guess
No.
I
no
guess what they're saying.
screenshots?
No, so it's a 2-page spread of nothing. And I guess they didn't have anything to show. But what they're flexing is that Toy Story, the video game, is gonna be is possible.
Right.
I don't know.
It's a dumb ad because it's like, first, you expect kids in the 90s to read this much. Second of all, you expect them to like go, who are these? Like, it's like, as a kid, do you know what a techno geek was?
Right. Well, I think the problem is too is the ad is kind of targeting people within the industry who said you can't make a Toy Story video game, it's too complex. But I think with kids we're just like, yeah, I want a Toy Story video game, and we're expecting at the very least like a top-down little animated Woody walking around. Like we don't care if it looks like the movie or not.
We had like Aladdin and other games, so to me, it's like as a kid, I never thought this movie's impossible. I was like, I played Aladdin and Lion King, so why not Toy Story, right? Like that's how I thought.
Right.
I didn't. This seems like somebody got mad. It's like when somebody tells you, "Yeah, your art sucks," and then you win a big prize for your art, and now you're like, "Suck it."
Oh, I've seen those on Instagram. It's like guy who, like, his teacher said he'd never amount to anything, takes $30,000 in $1 bills out of the bank and goes and flexes on the teacher. And it's like, cool. You know that 30,000 is probably going to get you through 6 months. You know, like, what are you doing? Put that back in your bank, you weirdo.
Yeah.
But this one's like flexing on who? Like, if it's in a trade show thing, maybe I get like an industry thing, but yeah, it's not that great. The second ad is a UK one. Nothing too exciting, but it's Buzz and Woody.
It not
says
amazing, but it's better than the other one.
play the game, and it says Toy Story from the big screen to the Mega Drive, but is it still a happy ending? Only you're good enough. And what I find weird is that they diminish the screenshots. They're so tiny, and yet that's what's supposed to be technically impressive
And selling?
in selling. So, I mean, the game itself did well, so I don't think these ads hurt it, but the ads could have been better. The trailer, the TV commercial was awesome.
Yeah, and it's
But
crazy how clear that commercial got archived, because like we've seen a lot of Sega commercials from that era, trash looking.
Right.
So very cool.
Yeah, this one it was AI upscaled, but the video itself is clearly a direct feed from like a broadcast tape or something. There's no wiggle. There's no like recording fuzz. It very clearly came from some source. It's pretty cool. But yeah, do you have any final thoughts on Toy Story, the video game?
Might be outdated today, but I think this is probably one of the better tie-in movie games of the era, which we were famous for having. Definitely one of the better licensed games in the era. I'm sure that somebody's going to be like, but what about this one that won awards and redefined everything? I'm sure I said one of them. Not the best, obviously. I think the studio should be given props for trying new things and pushing the limits of what the Genesis could do, like a Doom level. Crazy. And also the obviously Donkey Kong Country type graphics. All this stuff is very cutting edge for the time, and it kind of matches the movie, to be honest with you, which is also cutting edge and definitely changed animation, since now we don't have hand-drawn animation.
It's true.
That's my thoughts.
I'd agree with you there. This game, I think the only games that would really rival it are other Disney games from Virgin Interactive. And I think Traveler's Tales did a really great job. They are kind of now just like the Lego people. They're making all the Lego games. But at the time, when they had that little fox with the bundle behind over his shoulder, like when you saw that, you knew you would be at least getting a very technically impressive game. I mean, games like Sonic 3D Blast, Toy Story, of course. They were definitely one of the cutting edge developers out there that went above and beyond. Maybe they didn't present the best gameplay, but it wasn't bad. It was just kind of like, I don't know. I can't explain it, but I always had to own their games because I just knew it would be visually a really great experience. And Toy Story is definitely up there as in terms of licensed Genesis games. Not the best, but far, far, far from the worst. And I'm sure we'll cover some of the worst on a future Sega Talk episode. But right now, I'm going to read some memories from our Patreon supporters. If you support us at any level, we will read your memories at the end of the show. So first off, we have Ben Hayward, who says, another Mega Drive game that I wish I'd have more time to play. I remember reading that it came fairly late in the Mega Drive's life, and as a result, it was really able to push what the system could do. Really looking forward to getting properly into it. I'm sure listening to this episode will give me a good reason to. And I hope it does, because this game has a lot to offer. My suggestion for people would be to find a level select code, or if you have a Game Genie or an emulator with a Game Genie, find something to jump ahead to those later stages. Because I think once you get to the Pizza Planet, it's a really fun ride from there. Ando said, I used to play this over and over when it came out, first because I loved the movie, and second because it was such a fun mix of different gameplay styles, all of which worked in their own way. And lastly, Nicholas Schaefer says, I absolutely loved this game. While sometimes I was frustrated by the hitboxes of items, this game blew me away, and its visuals that I honestly didn't believe my beloved Genesis could do. Honestly, this just shows how much untapped potential the Genesis still had in its late life. And you can tell that to Tom Kalinske, because he was like banging that drum saying, guys, let's keep the Genesis going until 1998, and then you can do the Dreamcast. Skip the Saturn,
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if that would have been possible, but Toy Story, we're giving it I think the Sega Talk thumbs up. It could have been a disaster. I mean, to be quite honest, imagine the bad Toy Story game that we could have gotten. Instead, we got this. And we're not going to cover... Well, there are 2 Toy Story games for Dreamcast. I don't own them, and I haven't played them. There's Buzz Lightyear of Star Command and Toy Story 2, which is kind of wild when you consider that the sequel to this game is technically skips the Saturn and goes right to Dreamcast. That shows you how far apart Toy Story 1 and 2 were in terms of release. But there actually are more Sega Toy Story games that we could talk about, so I won't say much more. But George, on the next episode, it's your pick. You get to talk about whatever you want.
And I will be thinking about it in the next couple of days. And if you support us on Patreon, you'll probably see something about the next game. Maybe I'll do a pool again. I kind of like doing that, getting forward bad ideas and giving it to our Patreon pickers. So if you support us, I'll see you there for that post, and look out for it. And for everybody else, I'll see you on the next episode of Sega Talk. Bye.
Bye.